Confidence is not a fluke, confidence is a choice, and it begins with our mindset. In this podcast, you will find a variety of research proven strategies that will lead you from being self critical, your worst enemy, to being the most confident version of yourself. I am Olga, former therapist, confidence life coach, blissfully an IVF mother, a wife, and this is the Journey to Happy podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Happy podcast. This is episode 138. And I am so happy to be talking to you about something that I personally have struggled with quite a bit. And I've been privileged enough to help many women work through their own insecurities. So today we're going to talk about how to get out of your own head and self-imposed insecurities. And we all have them about one thing or the other, or about many things. But the important point here is that there is a way out of insecurities. Insecurities come from thinking, our thoughts. And so now we know we can change our thoughts. And we'll dive a little bit about how that looks like. I'll tell you a couple of stories. And hopefully we'll have a good time and move on with our Monday. But just being aware that we can't face our own insecurities. First, I want to tell you that from all my years of experience as a life coach and as a former therapist, I've come to understand that most times women specifically blame their lack of confidence on something that was being said to them by a school teacher, by their parents growing up, by their husband or ex-husband, by a friend, by a sister. In other words, they always look and blame their lack of self-security or self-confidence based on something that was said to them from an outside source. What they don't realize is that that outside source only spoke about something that was already hurting inside of them, that they already had an opinion on that wasn't favorable. And that after that comment, they have used their own inner dialogue to continue to bully themselves and continue to have thoughts that actually steal their confidence away. They become their inner voice that judges them in the way they don't want to be judged, and then that leads them to feeling highly insecure. What happens when we are this insecure about ourselves on anything that you are insecure about is that we begin to fix the problem by looking for outside reassurance. And so, for example, that could look like calling everybody you know to tell them the decision that you think you're making just to see if they agree with you. And often that backfires you because as you get different people's opinions, you get more confused. Oh my God, so what is the right choice? Or you would call 2-3 people to read the email before you send it because you're so afraid of making mistakes. So you're reassuring yourself by asking everybody, come check this email. Tell me, do you see what I see? Is it good enough to be sent? You also want to share the responsibility if things don't go wrong. You can't just blame it on you. You'd be like, but I asked everybody and everybody said, yes, do it that way. So insecurities are built based on our own judgment, and our judgment is our own thinking. Okay. The thoughts that we have about ourselves, about our value. And so we can now stop blaming the outside world for our lack of confidence. And we can begin to build internally better conversations that allow us to lower the insecurities and to increase our self-confidence. This could be about you getting a promotion. This could be about your body image. This could be about you being loved in a healthy relationship. This could be about you becoming a mother. Whatever self-judgment you have that builds insecurity, I hope after this episode, you're able to put it into perspective and realize that that's just a thought and that you can change the thought. So in the last Detox the Mind course that I was teaching, the workshop, one of the participants shared that when she had the thought of being authentic, of being who she really is, that others will stop loving her. And she actually became very emotional, and that thought made her feel sad, that she felt if she was who she was, that people who love her currently will stop loving her. Wow. So no wonder she feels like she can't say no. No wonder she feels like she can't tell people I don't like this, or like she keeps sacrificing her well-being to please others because she feels if she was to tell them, I don't want to go today. No, I don't want to help you with that. that they would stop loving her. So it kind of feels like very slavery. You're slaving yourself away because you're afraid of not being liked. Here's what we're able to do during that detox of mine. She was able to recognize that that was never a thing from anyone. Nobody has ever told her. Like if she was to ask her husband and children, how little will you love me if I said I didn't want to go to the park? I didn't want to do this one thing today. Or I didn't like this. She laughed. She's like, yeah, no, they probably would never stop loving me because of that. It was so out of reality. But what we recognize is that she had an internal expectation that said, the day that you are not there to please everybody, I don't love you. It was from her to her. I won't love you if you can't help everyone. And so she was keeping herself to that standard because she needed herself to be loved by others so that she could love herself. But she told herself all kinds of insecurities or thoughts that brought insecurity that didn't make sense. And I think that's the truth for many of us. And so I, for example, have a big scar on my abdomen because I've had 2 surgeries. And so I've got 2 big abdominal scars that you can see and you can feel. It's a big scar, okay? And I had it done when I was 11 years old. So I've had it throughout my teens, throughout my 20s. So this time of life when you're learning to be confident, but you've got so many thoughts that stop you from being confident. And then I had like this massive scar. And so if I had to go to the pool and do activities, I always wanted to have like a one-piece suit so that nobody could see my scar. I would hate it if a boyfriend placed their hands around my belly, like, no, don't touch my scar. You will notice I have a scar. I had so much built up thought in my head that said, you are not likable because you have a scar. And that thought followed me, you guys, all the way until I became pregnant. It wasn't until I felt the most amount of love for my growing belly that I realized how stupid, really, that thought had been. How many years I spent in insecurity because I lacked the self-acceptance and the self-love and the awareness, first of all, that I was having a lot of rejecting thoughts about myself and that therefore my insecurity was growing. So it wasn't until I was pregnant that I probably wore a 2-piece bikini to show my belly with a growing scar at a point where I remember thinking before I was ever pregnant, I remember thinking if one day I see my scar growing with that belly, that's gonna look so ugly. I won't show it to anybody. I won't be proud of my belly. That went out the window because I was in such an amazement of what was going on that I was granted the gift to give life. I still get so watery eyes when I think about that gift and that blessing. That how dare I have thoughts about my scar or my body or my anything that were nothing but building on my confidence of what I can do and who I am and my value. And so I want you to begin by knowing that any insecurity you have about yourself, whether that's about your intelligence, your ability to make money, your ability to save, your ability to be in a relationship, whatever, is just coming from a thought. And that if you were able to think to yourself that thought, whatever it is that stops you from being confident, that you can then begin to tell yourself a different thought that will lead you to a different way of feeling and hopefully one that is, of course, of confidence. So it's very important that we begin this process by understanding that our insecurities do not belong to the outside world as we make it believe. It's because, so I would have to say to myself and to others, the reason I don't wear 2-piece bikinis because I don't want to bother them looking at my ugly belly. Poor people. Really, I feel bad for them. Like they care. And so, of course, there is people whom I look at my scar and say like, ugh, that's an ugly belly, poor woman, and feel all the passion. The majority would probably be curious. Oh my God, what happened to her? What is that scar from? That'll be me. If I'm staring at somebody's belly with a big scar, I'll be thinking, oh my God, what happened to that lady? And I'll be staring probably. The majority of people stare, I've come to learn. Some people will stare. The other, just like, it's like they didn't see it at all. Those shocked me the most. I'm like, you didn't really see it? What the heck? Okay. All of that to say, we come back to our own thoughts. And the problem is that we think we can tell what others think. The reality is that it does not matter whether they're staring at my skirt and wondering what happened to her, or that's really ugly, or holy fuck, she's very courageous to be walking in a 2-piece bikini with that body. I wouldn't. Doesn't matter what they're thinking because I'm making my own assumptions anyways. So I'm like, That person is surprised. That person is disgusted. That person is happy. That person didn't see it, right? It's all my perceptions. But what really matters is the thoughts that I have about my body image. I know body image is something that many women struggle with because we judge it. We judge ourselves so strictly. Like there cannot be any imperfections in our body. Oh my God, I have a wrinkle. Oh my God, I have a gray hair. What are people going to say? But then we jump to think, what are people going to say? And we put in their mouths, in their minds, the words that we think to ourselves. Okay, so the insecurity comes 100% from your own judgment. So I just want to invite you to open up, to be a bit more kind, to not be the enemy, to not be the judge that you are terrified other people being with you, of you. In other words, I want you to stop being okay with being your worst enemy. That ends today. The fact that you tell to yourself, I am my worst enemy. I tell myself the worst things about my body image, about my ability to think, about my ability to be loved, and I'm not going to do anything about it. I'll just live in insecurity the rest of my life because it's so pleasant. Said nobody. So I want you to become aware. The only reason you actually have insecurities has nothing to do with what people think or say. It has to do with the things you tell yourself about the way you look, about the things they said, about the way you feel. So this takes a lot of self-awareness, guys, and journaling. Okay, I want you to journal all of your thoughts about the area of your life that you feel insecure. Become aware. What are you thinking? Because the moment you become aware of your thoughts, you can do something about them. You can begin to see, like I did on my own, oh my God, I have a lot of thoughts that say I am unattractive because I have a scar on my belly. When it comes to building your self-confidence, dealing with insecurity, you have to build your belief that the most important thoughts are the ones that you have about yourself. The most important thought will always be the one you have about what others say, think, or do. Is your thought that matters most. So it's exciting for me to know that if I've got insecurities about my body, about my mind, about my abilities, they were brought up by me, by my thinking, which far from being overwhelming, it's exciting because it means I have full power over changing them. Versus when we think it comes from an outside source, we are going to be waiting indefinitely until they tell us, hey, you're capable, good job. Till your husband tells you look good in those jeans, great. No, the exciting part that you get to say to yourself, oh my God, I look amazing wearing these jeans. And look, I get to wear a two-piece bikini because I love the bikini. And I have thoughts about myself that make me feel good, regardless of what's being said to me. So at all times, our job to ourselves is to catch our thinking and notice if it's building up our self-confidence or if it's building up our insecurity. And notice your mind's going to want to blame the outside world, is going to want to wait until the outside world changes so that you can feel confident. And I urge you to take charge today, like the boss that you are, and that you begin to tell yourself today, hold on, what thoughts am I having? Am I being my worst enemy that ends today? And I begin to identify as my biggest supporter, the woman who builds up my confidence, that gives me compliments, that makes me have the thick skin to do all things, regardless of what judgments I think people might have of me. It begins and it ends with you. It's always been the case. It's an illusion that we think our confidence comes from the outside world. It does not. That is a lazy way of thinking so that we don't take responsibility for our well-being and we just wait for the outside world to say, hey, you're worthy. You're good with money. That reassurance that we seek can only last so long. Like the satisfaction you get is short-lived and then you're off onto the next looking of reassurance. You become a reassurance addict and you build relationships with people where they feel that they have to tell you because you cannot handle it on your own, that they have to give you their opinion, or else you won't be able to make your mind. You will probably feel that you're always surrounded by bossy people telling you what to do because you've created that dynamic. People telling you what to do because you don't trust your own inner judgment. That's all I have to say. That's my rant about insecurity, ladies. If you are feeling insecure, as I'm sure you are in some area of your life, Take note, literally journal all your thoughts, see them, let them see you. Pay attention to what your inner dialogue sounds like and why it's building up your insecurity, and make a choice today that ends, and it ends by creating new thoughts and perceptions. Have new thoughts about your body image. Have new thoughts about your abilities to co-create, to do things that are powerful. You can do it. You just have to spend the time thinking about it. What could I think about my body image that actually builds my self-confidence? What could I think about my ability to make money that will build my confidence? What could I think about my health that will build my confidence? What could I think about my marriage or about me as a lovable human that will build my confidence? You got it. But sit down and do the work, okay? Do it. You absolutely have to do it. Nobody can do it on your behalf. If you want help with this, come join Detox Mind. I'll give you more tools around this, and you'll be able to just be coached by me and ask me questions, which I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to help you break the barriers that stop you from being confident. All right, guys, that's it from me today. I will see you next Monday. Confidence is about taking empowered action with consistency. If you are done wishing you had more confidence with fill out the blank, and if you're ready to put an end to the bully that lives inside your mind, I want to invite you to my next Detox the Mind 5-day workshop, where you will learn proven strategies to go from self-critical to self-confident. For $97, you get 5 days of live coaching calls with me, workbooks to go along with your lessons, and teachings that will literally transform your life. This workshop will break you free from the prison of your own thoughts. Our next workshop begins April 11th, and you can join the waiting list today. Head over to the show notes or my website and make sure you add your name so you can be notified as soon as we open for registrations. I hope to see you inside.